This story is from my previous house where I lived. When I was a little boy, I and my brother never dared to play upstairs. We didn't really feel comfortable being upstairs there. Yet the PlayStation 2 was there, and the computer, so if we wanted to play, we had to go upstairs. The television was in a cabinet with 2 glass doors on each side, so we constantly saw a reflection all over the hallway to my and my brother's rooms. We didn't feel alone, and we also felt watched when we played PlayStation, which is why we usually went upstairs to play together. Sometimes there were days when we didn't have this feeling, but very often we did. There were also moments when we saw shadows move or pass by in the reflection of the glass on the cabinet. At those times, we also heard footsteps walking around us, while only me and my brother were there. We told our parents this because it made us feel very uncomfortable, but they told us not to worry about anything. So we started to get used to the phenomenon of being watched and approached by something that wasn't there. Until one night, I heard a voice at my door. "Do you want to play?" I was shocked by this and called to my brother if it was he who came to say something at my door, but I heard him yell from his room that he thought I was standing at his door and that he had heard that too. We did not dwell on this or think about it further and quickly put it behind us. We were also used to our doors opening at night out of nowhere and by no one, and then being pushed all the way open as if someone had entered. So a few years went by where it had become a habit. It happened every day and especially at night. And our parents said they were probably imaginations, until my brother suddenly saw shadows enter my room and could not sleep and told our mother. Then she started to get a bit scared, but we didn't know why. We then slept with salt in front of the door for a few days because our mom told us to do that just to be sure, and then nothing happened for a long time. Several years have passed, and we decide to move out of the house. Once the move was over and we came back to these stories, it turned out that our mother had experienced the same thing when she was all alone at home. That me and my brother were at school, our father was working, and then our mother was home alone. Our mother usually sleeps in her room for an hour in the afternoon, but she often couldn't because she constantly heard footsteps in the hallway, in my and my brother's rooms, and in her room. And she even heard voices all the time, just like there was someone else in the house talking to themselves. She had apparently looked for who or what it could be, and she found that not the previous owners, but the owners before that the man in that house had died. To this day, I still don't know what or who this really was. This whole story reminded me of something. When I was about 7 or so, I and multiple other families were at a birthday party. So 2 other friends and I have an idea to go into the woods for fun. We were walking for about 5 minutes in, and we couldn't see the others anymore. We keep walking and find little insects and other interesting stuff we can find in these woods. We find stuff like interesting rocks, insects, birds, etc. So we're walking for about 10 minutes now, and for no reason, I decide to stop. Along with me, my 2 other friends stop too. I realized we walked too far, and I tell them that we should probably go back before we get lost. Right before we do that, we hear branches cracking. I thought that was one of my friends starting to walk, but as I turn around, I see none of my friends walking. The moment where I realized that there might be someone other than us walking, fear and adrenaline starts going up. My head is filled with thoughts like, what if it's a stranger? Or what if it's a kidnapper, or murderer, or serial killer? These thoughts make me fear even more what it could be out there. And keep in mind that it could have been a small wild animal, but we will never know. Back to the story. A little asshole move for me to do, but I just started running towards the direction we came from without even warning my friends. They, of course, had the same feelings as me, so they just started running with me. We were running so fast that I just didn't realize I was getting multiple scratches and shit from these branches and plants. I swear to God, I have never experienced this much fear in my life before that moment. I didn't even realize I got back to the place where we were having a birthday party that quick. All I wanted is just to come back and enjoy the birthday party. I, of course, told my mom, dad, and other friends about this. My two other friends that went with me did the same thing, but nobody believed us. Since we were little kids, it would be hard to believe us because we can just make something up for fun or something like that. Nobody believed. Well, I just forgot about this in about 30 minutes and continued to enjoy my time. But I will still never forget this. It will stay in my mind forever. I never thought I would be afraid of a place I lived in. When we choose a house, we usually worry about rent, water, electricity, or neighbors. No one ever thinks that the walls might be watching, or that silence itself could be listening. I moved into that apartment because it was cheap and close to my work. The building was old, the kind where the paint had turned yellow with age, and the lights in the hallway flickered, even when there was no power issue. Still, it felt normal during the day. People came and went, doors opened and closed, and life looked ordinary. At night, everything changed. From the first week itself, I noticed that my sleep was different there. I would fall asleep easily, but I always woke up suddenly at the same time, 3:17 a.m., with a strange heaviness in my chest. It felt as if someone had been staring at me for a long time, and I had finally noticed. The room would be completely silent, yet my body refused to relax. The first few nights I ignored it and blamed stress or bad dreams. One night when I woke up like that again, I noticed my bedroom door was open. I clearly remembered closing it before sleeping. The hallway light was on, spreading a dull yellow glow across the floor. As I sat on my bed, trying to understand why I felt so uneasy, I realized something was wrong. The hallway looked longer than usual. There was a door at the end that I had never seen before. My apartment did not have that door. I knew the layout very well. Still, there it was, looking completely normal, as if it had always belonged there. I stood there for a long time, staring at it, trying to convince myself that I was half asleep. Just as I took a step closer, I heard a slow breathing sound coming from behind that door. It was calm, steady, and very close, like someone standing right against it. My heart started pounding so loudly that I was sure it could hear me. I stepped back and the breathing stopped immediately. At the same moment, the hallway light went off, and I was left standing in total darkness. The next morning, the door was gone. The hallway was exactly the same as always. No extra door, no strange marks, nothing. I laughed at myself and tried to forget about it, but a deep sense of fear stayed with me throughout the day, like a warning I couldn't understand. As days passed, strange things became normal. Footsteps in the hallway when I was alone, soft sounds at night like someone shifting their weight outside my room. I never saw anyone, but I always felt accompanied. The worst part was that it felt familiar, as if whatever was there already knew me. One night, while lying awake, I heard a soft knock on my bedroom door. 3 gentle taps, slow and careful. I didn't move. Then I heard a voice asking me to open the door. It sounded exactly like me. Same tone, same way of speaking. My throat went dry. The voice sighed softly and said that I always opened the door, so why not now? The doorknob turned slightly, then stopped, as if whoever was outside was waiting for my permission. The next day, I finally gathered the courage to talk to the landlord. When I mentioned strange sounds and an extra door, he didn't look surprised. Instead, he looked tired. He told me that people never stayed long in that apartment. They complained about a room that didn't exist during the day, but appeared at night. According to him, those people didn't leave. They simply stopped being seen. He said the room didn't hurt anyone. It only took what was already ready to stay. I started searching old records and online forums late at night. I found posts describing the same experience. People mentioned a room that appeared after you noticed it, a room that copied your voice, your thoughts, and your memories. One post said that if the room spoke to you in your own voice, it was already learning you. That night, I stayed awake with all the lights on. I watched the hallway clock carefully. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the hallway light flickered and the door appeared again, this time much closer to my bedroom. It was already open. Inside was darkness, but I could sense something standing there, watching me. When it spoke, it told me I had left something behind. I felt my body move on its own, walking toward the door without my permission. Inside the room, time felt broken. The walls were filled with memories from my life, moments I had forgotten, people I had lost, and fears I had buried deep inside myself. In the center of the room was a bed, and on it lay someone who looked exactly like me, sleeping peacefully. The presence beside me whispered that one of us had to stay, and that I had already made this choice once before. When I woke up, it was morning. Everything looked normal again, but my phone still showed 3:17 a.m. The date had not changed. Since that day, I feel different, like a part of me didn't come back. Sometimes when I pass the hallway at night, I see a door that shouldn't be there, slightly open, waiting. I now understand that the room doesn't kill you, it replaces you. It keeps the version of you that is tired of running and sends the rest back to live, pretending nothing ever happened.